And so here we are. 135 automotive experts from around the world cast their votes and reached a decisive conclusion regarding the greatest car of the century, the ruler of the highway. That car? The Model T Ford. In 1906, Henry Ford was building cars for a living, and his company was growing. His cars were selling, but Ford wasn't happy with them. They were still rich man's toys. He said he wanted to build a car for the great multitude of the finest materials available by the best workmen that can be hired, so that every man with a decent income can take a ride in the countryside and enjoy God's great pleasures. He overhauled his factory to produce a new car, the Model T. He assembled a small team of draftsmen who worked night and day in a 12 by 15-foot room at the back of the factory. The very secretive Ford installed a drafting table so his ideas could be drawn up and hidden from the prying eyes of competitors. For good luck, he brought in his mother's rocking chair. He spent many long nights in it thinking about his new car. Finally, his dream, the Model T, chugged out and into history, October the 1st, 1908. Ford called it the Universal Car. The public affectionately called it the Tin Lizzie. It had a 4-cylinder, 20-horsepower engine, stood 7 feet high, and weighed only 1,200 pounds. The chassis, strong and lightweight, was made out of vanadium steel. The Model T was by no means a race car. 40 miles an hour was about all it could muster, just right for the unpaved roads of the day. But it was a hit. Over 10,000 Model Ts were sold in its first year, an industry record. These early buyers could have their Tin Lizzie in black, red, green, French grey, or pearl. The initial price tag of the Model T was $850, a steal, considering the average car buyer could expect to spend about $2,000. By 1913, Henry Ford broke the 200,000 mark in Model T production. The first moving assembly line made this possible. Conveyor belts transported small parts to the workers. They would install a bolt, and the piece would move on to the next workstation. Ford developed this innovative system after hearing about a Chicago meat packer. There, slabs of meat hung on hooks, moved down the line, and were basically disassembled. Ford thought, if a cow can be disassembled, why not reverse the process and assemble a car? By August of 1913, the chassis assembly line was moving. Ford workers were able to complete a car in 93 minutes, an astonishing speed, considering most automakers were still measuring their production time in days. In 1914, Henry Ford uttered those famous words, "The public can have any color so long as it's black." Explanation: the black enamel was the only finish that dried quickly enough for assembly line production. By then, the price of a Model T had dropped to $490, roughly half what it was when the first one rolled off the line. Ford was now building nearly 300,000 Model Ts every year. A decade later, production passed the 10 million mark, and the price reached its lowest point ever, $290. Finally, on May 27, 1927, the last Model T came off the assembly line. The world had been changed forever.
What mattered then and still has a resounding impact more than a century later, is the fact that it put the world on wheels.